Some people dream about traveling aboard a cruise ship, and some don't. What if I told you that you could be a passenger on a cargo ship? A big container ship. I talked to Joris. His cargo ship travel had a big impact on his life. Crossing the Atlantic Ocean to New York changed his mindset and career choices. He started his own travel agency to offer people the same experience. His story is very touching, thoughtful and inspiring. I cannot wait for you to hear him talk. Welcome to Travel Devil. I'm your host Clara Francken, and in a world full of mass tourism, we're here to talk about unconventional travel. Let's get into it. Could you start by introducing yourself? So tell me your name, where you're from, and what you do in life.
I'm Joris. I'm from CptnZeppos. I live already over 20 years in Antwerp, and CptnZeppos is an Antwerp-based travel agency.
And were you always fascinated by ships? Could you tell me what you were like as a kid?
I was always interested in ships. When we were little, we went to the seaside a lot, Newport, where you have a lot of sailing ships. And when we were walking there, my father always told us, like, okay, you can pick 3 and I will buy one of them for you. He never did, of course, but it was also always exciting with my sister to, we will take this, no, we'll take this. But at the end, I was waiting for a captain that would invite me aboard to be on a sailing boat, as a little guy. And strangely enough, last summer I was babysitting on a sailing boat at the ship of my neighbor. And I saw a little guy with a captain's cap with his mother walking by. And I waved at him like, hey, come on board. And mother said, no, I don't have time. I said, come on. And I was getting very emotional because I did what the other captains didn't. I invited the little captain on board, and it was really like, wow, he was 5 years old. Wow, really ship. And we get into the ship. And, it's an experience that I will never forget. And that's what I like to do, to give other people a lifetime experience.
All right. And when you traveled mostly alone, with friends, or with family?
The last 10 to 15 years, I traveled each year to Turkey because I have family over there. And the last 8 years, I traveled to Greece, also because I have family over there, until I met my biggest travel experience, crossing the Atlantic.
But let's start talking about the cargo ship traveling. Could you explain to me what it means to travel with a cargo ship?
Traveling aboard a cargo ship, what we actually do is we offer people the chance to travel as a passenger aboard a freighter ship. So in order of shipping companies, we give people the possibility to travel aboard of a cargo ship. Big difference between the luxury cruises and our trips are we have maximum 12 people aboard, so not like 500 or 5,000. And there is no entertainment aboard. So take your books with you, take some drawing pencils. There are a lot of people aboard, let's say like between 20 and 30. But for the rest, it's what we offer people is time. And surrounded by nature, air and water, you can make excursions also to yourself. So you have a lot of time to explore yourself.
Okay. And could you tell me about your first experience on a cargo ship when you went to America?
It was in the summer of 2018. I had a bike trip through the port of Antwerp. And at a certain time, I was asking myself, like, how would life be aboard? And after a while, I visited the Red Star Line Museum, which is a very interesting museum. And it's all about the 2 million people who came from all around Europe to Antwerp to go to America to get a better future. And I thought to myself, okay, if I will get aboard, then it will be from Antwerp to New York. So it was a 14-day trip. It was 6 passengers, only 6 passengers. International, Canadians, an American, English guy, a girl from Austria, and then a girl also from Canada. You have your own cabin, 3 meals a day, and for the rest, we talked a lot. There is no internet on board, so no social media. What makes that sometimes we start talking for breakfast until lunch. You have all the time. You can sit on the deck, you can visit the machine room, hold the ship. But you have time to think. And that was aboard on the Atlantic Ocean. I was thinking to myself, what will I do? Will I work another 20 years in the graphic design world, or will I change what I'm doing? And then I decided to offer people the same experience because it's amazing.
And you wanted to offer people the same experience because there was not the availability of doing this with a Belgian company?
Yeah, even more. We're the only company for the Netherlands and Belgium, that travel agency that offers those possibilities. There are a few in Europe, America, and New Zealand. Yeah, we're the only Dutch-speaking travel agency that only offers trips on Fridays worldwide. So 86 countries, over 217 ports worldwide.
So what you actually did was finding a Dutch bridge for the alternatives that already existed, but just like making them for Belgium and the Netherlands.
Yeah, I was surprised because we have the port of Antwerp here, we have the port of Rotterdam, we have Vlissingen, we have IJmuiden, Amsterdam, Terneuzen, Zeebrugge. So a lot of possibilities to leave from here to, let's say, Chile, South Africa, Japan, whatever.
That's amazing. Can you actually also reflect on the ecological aspect? Because yes, cargo ships are very polluting, but contrary to cruise ships, the cargo ship's sole purpose is to transport goods. Because it will sail anyway, a passenger might as well sail along, right?
It's eco-friendly because, those cabins that we offer are, as we call them, empty cabins, so they're not used. So you hitchhike on a freighter ship worldwide. And it's not something you use to get from A to B, but being on the way is the purpose. That's very important because otherwise people will compare these trips to the transport by airplanes, and then the price becomes a problem.
How much does it cost to travel on board?
We will always tell our passengers it starts from €100 a day. €100 without the insurance and other expenses like taxes and things like that. Some are also cheaper, but we always tell like €100 because it depends on which cabin you choose, the owner cabin or standard cabin. Do you take the cabin with 2 persons or only 1 person? Depends also on the shipping companies. Some are more expensive, some are cheaper. So it's very hard to say like, okay, that's the price.
Do you think you would have a career change if you weren't on that cargo ship to America?
If there is no extraction, if you can keep the focus on what's important, you have time and you travel very slow, you get inspired. And I was thinking to myself, like, you only live once, and I think everyone knows that. So, what will we do with the next 20 years? and how can I become happy? And I was sure that working in the printing business wouldn't make me happy. So this was such a big opportunity, to enjoy myself, to surround myself with very nice people, like-minded people, easygoing people, very interesting people also. And I think that's the biggest gift that you can have, that you're healthy and be surrounded by nice, interesting people. So money doesn't matter as long as I can pay the bills. So I'm very ambitious, unbelievable ambitious, but it has nothing to do with money, nothing.
Mm-hmm. And a question a little bit further from that feeling, and who is the target audience?
Men, women, it's like 60-40 at the moment, but women are will book more in the future, I guess.
Why do you think so?
Some women, they are scared to get on board on a ship with only male workers, but there is, it's not dangerous at all.
Are there almost only male workers on the boat, or are there also female workers?
There are female workers, but they're very rare. But we had a passenger, she was the only passenger to Norway, and she was very positive about the crew because they were cooking special pancakes for her, and so it was very positive for her. Our passengers are between 50 and 70, but we have also some young passengers in their 20s, in their 30s. Because younger people, I think at the moment they have a problem with the price because they compare it with the flying tickets. And if you see it as a transport, it's slow. If you travel from Antwerp to New York, it's 14 days. With a flight, it's just like 7 hours. So, but it's not a transport; it's a trip itself that we offer.
What do passengers need to know before they get on board?
Very important is, as I told you, there is no internet. That's the first thing. Second thing is your departure can be delayed, can be earlier as agreed, and also the arriving can depend. There are not a lot of cabins, free cabins on a ship, so it's very important to book your trip 6 months before departure. Otherwise, there will be no place. And there are a lot of people who are interested in those trips, but not all the shipping companies offer their free cabins. So that are the two most important.
And how about seasickness?
I have met a pharmacy guy in Antwerp. He's a sailing guy, and he has pills for seasickness. He sails already like 40 years, and my passengers told me that they're very helpful when it gets rough, and sometimes it gets very rough. So it's not like driving on a highway. It's nature, you know. People don't know anything about nature. If you are on the Atlantic Ocean for 6 days and you only see sky and water, it makes you think that nature is so much bigger as us humans. How can I explain it? It makes you humble.
Yeah, I guess you feel very small compared to the nature.
Very, very small. 6 days only water, sometimes another ship. You can't escape into your mobile, into your computer, into your TV. You can't get off board as well. Maybe that's also important to tell people that it's not like, okay, I want to get off board. Most of the ports you can go, but the life is on the ship. But it's more that I want to ask people like, what do you expect from such a trip?
Do you always talk with people who get on board then?
I invite them here in our office in Antwerp, the co-foundry, because it's very important to see them and to meet them in real life. There they can ask their questions and they get confidence also in CptnZeppos. It's not easy, you know, booking a flying ticket. Most of us know how to do, what to expect, but yeah, entering a terminal and you're the only passenger, and sometimes guys or girls on the terminal, they say, passenger? No, that's not possible. And then they call me and they say, Joris, help me. If they met me, they know, okay, I'm available. They can call me anytime. That's very important.
Mm-hmm. And could you briefly talk me through a typical day on board?
Typical day aboard for me was waking around 6 o'clock without an alarm. I wouldn't succeed in that here in normal life, but I don't know. It was like I was excited, or I don't know. So breakfast at 7, then talking a lot. Sometimes I went back to my cabin to read some for an hour and then fell asleep. And then lunch, 11:45. Then going back to the deck, watching, reading, doing nothing. Nothing wrong with that, doing nothing. And then dinner. Sometimes we saw a movie together because the American had the owner's cabin, very large cabin. So we had some movie nights over there. Dunkirk, I remember. Not a very good movie. Yeah, and writing also. I had a diary. And also talking to the people from the kitchen, chef cook, captain, first officer. Captain was a great guy.
And then in the night, is it going to bed early again, or?
I think I went to bed around 9. If you go from Antwerp to New York, first port was Liverpool, and then across the Atlantic Ocean. But at a certain time, you can sleep every day, nearly every day, 1 hour longer because of the changing of the clocks.
So can you be jet lagged?
No, contrary. You can sleep every day 1 hour longer. So what people also do is when they get aboard, they sleep a lot. I had a passenger, he came back from his trip and he told me in the beginning, I thought that I was very ill. He was very scared because he slept so much, but it's your body that needs the sleep and because here we're so excited and we want to do 100 things a day and on board there is nothing really. It's exciting, but it's another way. Me myself, I thought also that I was ill, and during breakfast, I think it was a Canadian. At a certain time, he said, "Yeah, guys, I sleep so much; it's unbelievable." And I was so relieved that for me it was the same. And when I told him, he was also very relieved because it's a strange thing. But you get so relaxed, and that's why people book a second trip, a third trip, sometimes within a year.
So what do you think is the problem that people have that you can resolve with this kind of traveling?
Now they have an excuse that they don't have to reply on emails, on WhatsApps, the whole social media. They can't be called, so they can tell to friends and family, like, I'm very, very sorry, but we can't connect for 14 days until 3 months, and take time for themselves. People ask me a lot, like, should I do it alone or with my wife, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my partner, or with my daughter? Or so, I don't know. It's up to you. This is the first choice you have to make. I made my trip alone, and I know why, because you can do 24 hours a day what you want. It's not because your partner asks you, let's go to the deck, and you think, okay, okay, but you don't fully agree on that for 100%. On the other way, normally in September, August, I will go with my father to Finland, a round trip from Antwerp. I want to be 8 days on a ship with my father to know my father even more than I do now, and not talk about politics and the usual things, but go deeper, every day. Maybe a first trip you do alone, a second trip you ask someone with you.
Could you tell me a strong travel story from somebody that went on board with CptnZeppos? Could you tell me a strong travel story from somebody that went on board with CptnZeppos?
Yeah, there was one passenger. He left the ship with the captain to go and eat and have a drink in the city. And then when they came back to the terminal, the guy from the terminal, he said, you can come in to the captain, but you have to stay out to my passenger. It was like midnight. And I was so glad when I heard the story that he was together with the captain. And that is what I tell all my passengers. If you get off board, take the telephone number of the captain or first officer or whatever. If you're in trouble, you can call them. So they had a discussion, captain and the guy from the terminal. And then at a certain time, the captain went to his ship. I don't know what he did, but after a half an hour, our passenger could go on the terminal to the ship. But yeah, if there was no captain and no telephone number, yeah, you stand there all alone without your luggage or whatever. Yeah. A quick other story. We were on deck, in the middle of the ocean. We were on the deck, 3 of us, the American, the Englishman, and myself, always looking for dolphins. It was always the Englishman who saw the dolphins. So the first time, only the Englishman. Second time, I saw the dolphins together with the Englishman, but the American didn't see the dolphins. The third time, at a certain moment, he said, yeah, I will go quick to my cabin and then I will come back. And when he came back, we were laughing unbelievable because we saw the dolphins, me for the second time, the Englishman for the third time. But I also had the time to film them because I didn't succeed the second time. So he said, don't tell me that you saw the dolphins again. I said, I can even show you the pictures. You really get mad. So he never saw the dolphins, never, but because they didn't came back yet. So that was a story about the dolphins. And,
That's pretty sad.
yeah. It was 2 days, 2 nights that we could see the stars. So for that, he was very, very thankful. And they really drop on your head. It's unbelievable.
So, what would you tell me to convince me to try this way of traveling?
Actually, it's very easy. Or you will tell me that you were waiting for this sort of traveling all of your life, or you don't like it at all. I don't think I have to convince people. I can tell you, entering a 300-meter ship is unbelievable. Meeting the people aboard it's great. Seeing the dolphins. I'm sure if you book a trip with us and within 30 years I ask you which trip did you do, you will tell me immediately that trip on a freighter. No doubt about.
Okay, we come to the end. Now I will have 9 questions which will probably be easy to answer. So the first one, how old are you now?
Officially, I'm 48, but I feel like 28.
How old were you the first time you traveled to another continent?
I think 6, with a ship from Spain to Morocco.
What's the longest time you've been away from home?
4 weeks.
Would you rather see a lot of places or get to know one really well?
One really well.
Would you rather save money on accommodation or pay for a good bed?
The last one.
What word would you teach a foreigner who wants to learn your language?
Alsjeblieft. Be polite.
What can't you travel without?
A book.
What's your favorite travel song?
Something from Jamiroquai. It's holiday, yeah. It's the good move and yeah.
Last question, why do you travel?
I travel to get away from daily life and to have time for myself and to talk with interesting people that don't live in Antwerp.
Amazing answer. This was Travel Devil, brought to you by me, your host, Clara Francken. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to continue the conversation or suggest any future guests, you can go to my Instagram, @ClaraFrancken. Take care, and I will see you next Thursday.